Welcome all. Thanks for sticking with us so late in the day. It's always harder these afternoon slots, but as I was introduced, I'm the CFO of Titomic. I've been CFO now, ASX listed CFO for over 16 years, and believe it or not, I did used to have hair all those years ago. But I really get excited about being involved with growth businesses, businesses with a real strong thematic, and that's what I think Titomic has at the moment. Where are we here? The big one, the big green button, there we go. So this is just going to be a real brief snapshot of all things Titomic, so bear with me. I'll try to give you a good sense of who we are and what we do in the next 10 minutes. Make sure you read these, please, thank you. So why, for me, who is Titomic? I think that's a key question. I get asked this a lot, and we've done a lot of things since we've been listed in 2017. But we're really on the pathway to commercialisation now. We design, build, repair and sustain high-performance metal components for Tier 1 primes, for government, for other commercial operators. We reduce lead times from months to weeks. We lower life cycle costs, and we can do manufacturing and sustainment at speed. That's our clear differentiator, and you'll hear me talk about speed a fair bit. In addition to those rapid manufacturing capabilities, corrosion is really our friend. We love corrosion. Wherever there's corrosion can be a Titomic solution. A mind-boggling stat, the US Navy spent $20.6 billion on corrosion annually. Our CEO met with the Commodore of Rust, or the Commodore of Corrosion, not that long ago, and they're very interested in what we're doing. We have a global footprint, as you can see there. We've rapidly expanded in the last 18 months. Our operational headquarters is now in Huntsville in Alabama. The Rocket City, where all the defence and aerospace primes reside, and that's where we want to play. I'll touch on some of the people there and some of the people in the Netherlands and in Australia as well as I move through. Why I think you should be interested in Titomic. For me, I touched on it earlier, it's the thematic. Right now, I think Titomic is really well positioned to benefit from the need for accelerated manufacturing capabilities to support the warfighter efforts, particularly in the US, but really escalating quickly globally with US current policy. There's also a real focus on sustainment at the moment, with the need to maintain and sustain critical assets rather than simply renew them, particularly in the energy and maritime sectors. The rhetoric from US leaders, as you can see on the screen there, it's all about the speed of production, and this is where Titomic can really benefit. Some of our key recent wins, we've gone from working, when I joined this business almost 2 years ago, with one of the Tier 1 primes, or solely based in Australia then. We've now got contracts or in discussions with 8 of the Tier 1 primes. In May last year, a couple of key highlights. In May last year, we won an R&D contract with Northrop Grumman to build 2 rocket engines. These were provided in August, and in October, Northrop Grumman ran a hot fire propulsion test on these 2 rocket engines, and in their words, it performed flawlessly, which we were really pleased about. I'll touch on what our technology is, but this was one of the first times cold spray technology had been used to build a part that was successfully hot fired. In Q4 last year, we announced a US $1.7 million contract with one of the Tier 1 primes in the hypersonic space. We've been asked to build a subscale of a leading edge using refractory metals. Now, a leading edge is the edge of something that needs to go through the sky at 3,400 degrees centigrade to reach its target a lot quicker than it ever has in the past. So it's very exciting projects to be working on right at the leading edge of the technology. So there's a lot happening. Look forward to sharing some of our key successes as 2026 progresses. Just our products. Our high-pressure kinetic fusion technology is really suited to the manufacture of near-net shape cylindrical components at speed. So think large pressure vessels for underwater use, for space use. Think 200 kilos plus, think 3 meters in diameter, 3 meters in length. Rocket engines, as I touched on with Northrop Grumman. Thrust chambers, lightweight missile components. Warheads for missiles. We've built a warhead in one piece, 70-kilo warhead, with no welding, no heat stress areas, and that's certainly getting people very excited globally. On the coating and repair side, corrosion protection is a key target area for us. Our corrosion solution is quite compelling. We've had a couple of key industry tests by oil and gas providers in both Australia and in Europe recently, and their salt spray testing has indicated our solution will provide around 15 years corrosion protection. This is compared to typically sort of 2 to 3 years for current methods, sort of thermal coatings and the like. I'll just show you some of our systems that we use to generate that drives this technology. On the screen at the moment is our low and medium pressure cold spray systems. The Titomic Kinetic Fusion, TKF 523, is our portable cold spray system. We have 9 of these in the field in the Ukraine at the moment. They're being used for near the battle line repairs, so think sort of shrapnel damage to vehicles, and these can be used in the field to actually repair that quickly and then get these assets, these land vehicles, into redeployment very efficiently. The TKF 623, the one in the middle there, that's our medium pressure machine. It's got a deposition rate, meaning that it can deposit the powder up to 30 times faster than our 523 machine on the left. It's gaining a lot of traction for oil and gas because for corrosion protection and large corrosion areas, it's like colouring that in with a large paintbrush, if you like, instead of a small pencil like the machine on the left. The machine on the left certainly better for that sort of in-field short-term use. Our high-pressure cold spray systems, as I'll show here, look, the numbering convention's not too scientific. The TKF 1000 can build a 1 metre part. The 3250 can build a 3 metre or 3.25 metre part. We're an assembler of these systems. We take the best of breed technology from global suppliers, robotics, spray guns, etc., and combine that with our material science and engineering know-how that's been built up over a decade now. This business sort of spun out of the CSIRO back in 2014. We do sell some of these systems externally, mainly to research institutions and educational institutions. The technology itself is very unique. Whilst we are a subset of the additive manufacturing sector, we certainly are very different to other additive manufacturers geared to far more rapid production and large near net shape parts, as I touched on. Just to geek out a little bit, we take metal in powder form. We can blend metals together, but we take metal in powder form and using kinetic energy propelled by a carrier gas, that can be oxygen, nitrogen, or helium. We propel the powder at anywhere from Mach 3 to Mach 7, and the metal then plastically deforms on a substrate. Think sort of throwing Play-Doh at a wall. And each layer of the metal, each micro layer that we put onto this then bonds to the substrate, bonds together. Then we can caustically remove the substrate, and we're left with a metal part, a metal component. They can be large, up to a couple hundred kilos. We are left with that part that typically has over 99% of the density of the original metal, often with better material characteristics than if it was manufactured by traditional methods, such as investment casting and forging. So we can build parts within hours and days, not weeks and months, and that's why we're really getting some attention at the moment. Just touching on our readiness, the need for certification in this business is critical. We recently announced the NASA Space Act agreement, which is not easy to get for a small company. This enables us to have NASA certify some of our components. It's an umbrella agreement. We can keep feeding things through NASA over the next years to come. Once they've certified our components, we can then take that data to the primes globally, and it will absolutely shorten the qualification time that this would normally take when dealing with the primes. Defence and aerospace historically has long lead times and qualification times. We'll soon have D&V certification for oil and gas. The D&V are a European-based certification agency, and this will enable us to go and have far more serious conversations with global oil and gas providers around their corrosion needs. And we'll also bring that online for maritime. Just briefly touch on the board, management, and our strategic advisory group. We have some exceptional people in this area. There's too many individuals on the screen to name, but I'll touch on a couple. Jim Simpson, our CEO, he come on board in October 2024. He spent 35 years at Boeing. He's based in the US. He had stints at Aerojet Rocketdyne. Dr. Patty Dare, our US president, she's sort of 15 plus years working with the US primes. At Lockheed Martin was her big stint. While she was there, she came across Chris Myers, who was a former naval officer and now our president of Europe. Aude Vignel, she joined as the Australian president in October 2024. She was the inaugural CTO of the Australian Space Agency. At board level, we recently welcomed retired Lieutenant General Trey Obring. He used to head up missile defence in the US. He's now a strategic advisor to the Golden Dome, which is something we're very interested in, and we think it'll be a key part of our revenue going forward. Andreas Schwer is also a director. Some of you may know him from EOS Limited. They're doing some really wonderful things in the defence space at the moment. On the right there is our strategic advisory group. Here we have people that are with ties to the Navy, NASA, the US Army, Boeing, Air Force for Space, and to the Huntsville and Alabama political network, which is really critical for us. So, I think we punch above our weight in this area. We've got some really well-connected people, and that's already bearing fruit for us. Look, the near-term catalyst, I think I've touched on a fair few of these, but there's a lot going on in the business. And just to wrap up, look, I'm really pleased to say we are making tangible progress. We've been around for a while. Probably commercially, we haven't hit our straps until now. We've made a real tangible focus on the US expansion because that's where this business needs to be. We're seeing customer engagements with tier one primes, and we're targeting operational cash flow break even in 2027. We think we've got a really good runway to do that. So thanks everyone, and I'll hand over for some questions.
Great. Thanks, Jeff.
Do you want me to go to that, right?
Perfect. I think you should change your company slogan to wherever there is corrosion, there's a Titomic solution.
We're going to get some T-shirts, hats, whatever.
Hats.
I think it's important. Yeah.
Perfect. First, start off by telling us what are some key challenges in being able to successfully commercialize Titomic solutions and technology?
Yeah, it's a really good question. This whole sector, additive manufacturing, has been around for a long time. It's a real buzz around the sector 15 years ago, then 10 years ago, and there's a buzz about it again now. I think the repeatability and the material properties of products that are manufactured with additive manufacturing, and us as a subset of that being cold spray technology, haven't always been perfect. I think when this business started, the founders thought they could just take any powder of any quality, throw it in our gun, and they could make these perfect parts. That doesn't happen, right? You put powder's not powder. Some suppliers, powder loves oxygen for one thing, and you can get powder from some suppliers that has been exposed to too much oxygen, and the part you therefore make doesn't have the material properties, particularly for defence and aerospace. So we've invested a lot of time and resources. Jim Simpson, pardon me. Jim is a materials scientist by trade, so he's now using that knowledge for good with us. We've invested a lot of time on material science, on repeatability. Repeatability is a big buzzword for us. That we're going to make sure that everything we manufacture is repeatable. Otherwise, the primes won't want to talk to us. Okay. That's a big challenge, but we're getting ahead of the curve on that one. Yeah. It's good.
There's a couple of questions about the US. So you've re-domiciled to the US?
We're re-domiciling. Yeah, we just recently announced that. Yeah, so interestingly, in the defence and aerospace sector, we're going to move in hopefully particularly in this hypersonic space, into some classified work in the near term. It could be as soon as 6 months. Having a foreign-owned company doing that work in the US means our current board and even our CEO, who has clearance, he wouldn't be able to oversee that, and our board wouldn't be able to oversee it. And being an Australian company, we'd need to appoint a proxy board in the US, and proxy boards aren't really accountable to the board of directors and therefore not accountable to shareholders. So the re-domiciling, although a lot of people do it just purely to list on the US exchange, we're doing it so our current board and management can have oversight of the business. It does set us up for a potential dual listing. We'll always be an Australian listed company, and we love our journey with the ASX.
Good to hear.
It'd be terrible if I said anything different in this forum, but no, that's absolutely the truth. Yeah.
No, thank you for being truthful. How exposed are you to the political cycles of the US?
Exposed in a good way.
Okay.
I think it's come through the presentation, that need for speed for the warfighter effort, the Golden Dome. Whilst we're not entrenched in any supply chains yet, we're certainly seeing the primes starting to change tact on how they do business, and they're starting to move a lot quicker. We really think we're going to be the beneficiary of that, and we already are with some of the programs we're starting to work on.
Yeah. And,
War is good for us, unfortunately. I'm not, I can't say it any differently than that. But
there's a question here. Are there applications for drone warfare? Correct. Yes, you would say. There are applications.
There are applications. Yeah, we can do with our technology. We can do very micron layers of coatings, and these thermal coatings can be very effective against drones. Mm-hmm. So that's an area we're certainly looking at, along with the hypersonic space.
And how is Titomic's technology different to other players in the additive manufacturing sector?
I think I touched on it a bit, but mainly for us it's speed and repeatability. Additive manufacturing, they can make big parts, but it often takes months. We can do it in days and weeks, and we can take a CAD drawing and we can have that turned around into a part in no time. So,
great.
We really compete with investment casting and forging, the original methods, and to do that there's long lead times and it's hard to get a slot. So,
perfect.
Awesome.
Well, thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. Cheers.
Please put your hands together for Jeff.